Okay, and we should be live now. We'll just give it a minute, see if everyone can come in. If you can see us already, welcome to the session here. I'm here with Adriana, and we're talking about overcoming obstacles in English mastery, particularly for medical professionals. So if you work in the field, if you have to use English as a second or third language to communicate with your patients or to do your work, then you've come to the right place. Especially if it's something that you struggle with and you know that you need to put it to the next level, but you wonder how to do that. Okay, I've just got a message saying we're having trouble streaming to the destination. This may be for the Facebook one. Okay, if anybody's there live, can you give us a message? Send us a message. That's Facebook interview group. Okay, we can. Let's see. Hopefully, we're still live in LinkedIn. Let's see and make sure that it's working on LinkedIn. I think I might need to. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, so we should now be live in LinkedIn. It says there's one viewer.
Great.
Okay, so hi, thank you again. So just to give a brief introduction, this is English Mastery for Medical Professionals, how to overcome obstacles. And Adriana and I are going to go through some objections or obstacles which come up from people who need to improve their English, who kind of know that it's the right thing to do, but there are three main problems which may get in their way, three kind of obstacles which may be stuck in their mind. And we're going to go through all of those today and hopefully uncover a few things and help you to see how to get past these obstacles and maybe give you a new way of thinking about these things. So Adriana, I'm going to pass over to you to give a quick introduction of yourself. Tell us where are you from, as in where are you coming from, and yes, what brings you here?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, David, for inviting me, and thank you for the people who are watching us. So I'm Adriana McNeil, and I originally come from Poland. I live in Scotland, though, so I'm a non-native English speaker who's living using the language all the time and working in it. I'm also a passionate tutor, school, college, and university ESL teacher. And I have over 25 years of experience teaching, but not just teaching, because I've been also learning English all my life pretty much. So I understand the communication challenges that may be faced by non-native English speakers. I've also been an interpreter and a translator for the National Health Service in the UK for over 15 years. I took part in so many meetings and communicated information between doctors and patients and other healthcare workers. But the recent time that I've been working on is basically helping people who are medical professionals, especially leaders in clinical research and clinical trials. And I'm helping them advance their careers and become more confident and basically reach their dreams using effective English communication skills and empowering mindset. So I've become an English communication coach, and I'm very happy about this.
Nice. Yes, excellent. So as I said before in the introduction, we're going to look at three main categories of objection or obstacles. And these, we can count them as time. I don't have enough time is a very common objection. Commitment, or the effort that you have to put into making a change in your English level. And finally, the money question. Can I afford it? Is it worth it? these kind of questions, which often pop up. So we may move from one to another because often there is an overlap in these objections. However, we'll use that as a basic framework to move through the discussion. And starting with time, what comes up for you, Adriana, with people that you work with who say to you, Adriana, I'm a busy medical professional. I'm working every hour that God sends. I don't have time to commit to an extra program to improve my English.
Well, I totally agree. This is difficult because we all have a job, we all have a family and chores and all sorts of commitments. And on top of this, we're supposed to have time for relaxation, good sleeping practices, good eating, general well-being, physical activities, and altogether we are supposed to work and learn as well, So I get that this is not easy. But what comes to me is the fact that we can make choices because we all have the same amount of time available, as in there are 24 hours, there are 7 days, and it's sort of what we do with it, how we use it, that's what matters. So I think how I was using or what I was suggesting to do with my clients is, for example, when we maybe have a cup of coffee in the morning or whenever during the day, we quite often sit down and, instead of sitting maybe and scrolling mindlessly, on the phone, which is not a bad thing. But at the same time, instead of that, we could do something else. We could do something with the learning process. So, for instance, if you are trying to learn English, as in to improve your level of English, because already you know a lot, but you maybe feel that you get lost in certain situations when you have to explain things. Well, maybe a way to deal with this, to read the articles or whatever the matter is that you seem to have a problem with, and then try to, within the 15 minutes you've got for your coffee, and then maybe you can try and basically summarize or rephrase, say it in your own words, and revise the phrases that you've had before, anything like that. That will make you feel more confident and prepared for whatever you have to do. So time, as difficult as it is to get it, I think the way to deal with it is to swap it, look for activities that are not really bringing us any useful, there's no results because we are doing something. And pleasure is absolutely, an important part of our life, and we should do things for fun as well and for pleasure. But if there is a priority, I think swapping activities might be a good idea. What do you think, David?
Yeah, absolutely. And it ties into a question that I wanted to ask, which is about how long do you need to spend? I'm sure you get this question as well. There's two parts to this question. People may say, how long does it take? Or how long do I need to spend? So the difference, I would say, how long does it take, for me to get to from A, my level now, to, let's say, B, the destination level? Will it take a month, 6 months, a year? So this is an overall time frame. I'm sure you get asked the same. How long will it take me?
Yeah, but it all depends, to be honest. It depends on the level of English you've got, but also it depends on the level of confidence you have. Because quite a lot of the time, and I know that from my own experience, I had an enormous amount of knowledge, but I wasn't speaking because I wasn't confident. So then it will take longer because you're not confident. And maybe you're not confident because you're not exposing yourself to the right situations with the right level of preparation, right? There's a lot of things that come up with this.
Yes,
there's fear,
right.
There's a lot of things. So depending on what we're looking at, it will take a different kind of time for a different person. I mean, you know what I mean? It just depends on where you are with your English learning. And then, so it cannot be a very short amount of time, but it also doesn't have to be very long, because it all depends how you start doing it and what you focus on.
Yes.
It can be quite short, and the little sort of outbursts of learning, but they have to be continuous. They cannot just be, I will be trying this week and that's it. No. This is a long-term commitment, basically. This is not, so you have to find some time and allocate enough for a set amount of time, for like a period of time. And then it will become so much easier because you're doing little often, right? Not like a lot all of a sudden and the results are not showing. So, consistency is usually the answer.
Yes, I agree. But again, I want to, because we've started to go down this path, I want to continue with a follow-up question, which is often people ask, how can I speed up the process? How can I do things as quickly as possible? Everyone seems to be in a rush these days, and they want to.
Well, I think we all want to have results quickly because, well, it's nice. So we don't want to waste time, right? So I think it will speed up the process if you focus on the right things. So if, for example, I think the whole thing starts with knowing what you need. So I think there's an assessment needed. For example, do you know where you are with the level of English you have, and where do you want to be? And then obviously there's a gap. So this is where it's good to have somebody to help you with the gap, right? Because you analyze the gap, you know what you need to do, and then with the help, you can do it yourself as well, but it will be quicker if you have help from a professional, for instance, who can guide you through the process and focus on the most important parts and give you feedback and do it in a way that you are going to be prepared for the things you're going to face, instead of just generally learning something. The something is good, but not as good to show the results as quickly as you want. So I think you can speed up by knowing what you need to do, doing exactly the right things consistently, and the results will show.
And working with the right people.
Yeah,
working
that
with
helps.
coaches.
Practicing, absolutely. Because I think the problem is people think that you need to really spend a lot of time on it, which obviously the more you spend, the better it's going to be. But at the same time, it's not just spending time on it. You need to actually spend time on the right activity, and knowing what you need, just like you're saying there, is exactly something that will help you. So the assessment at the beginning and knowing where you're going. So you need to know the direction.
Yeah, and I want to dig in a bit deeper to this, knowing what you need, for somebody, let's say the person who wants to improve their level of English, often they will come to you or I and to seek the expert help to get them. Maybe they don't know exactly what they need, or they have an idea of the result or why they need it. But in terms of the mechanics, the things they should be doing to make the process as fast as possible, as effective as possible. Is that something as well that that you work on, and how do you really help your clients answer this question?
Well, I think basically we focus on people explain what they need, what they think they need, and by kind of experience, I will see, yeah, this is exactly what you need, or I will sort of try and open their eyes onto something that they might have not noticed. So, like, sometimes there's a bigger issue, let's say the confidence. So we could look into what makes them worried, because quite often we've got a problem and it's a bigger kind of issue. We worry about things more than we should, instead of focusing on what we could be doing about it. So then it's like by establishing what goal we would like to achieve and what's the roadmap basically to it, because I also like the idea that we're not the same and we have different needs and different goals. So working on particular ones that suit the person, I think that's an important thing too, because general learning, it's not going to bring you the same results as if you where to learn exactly what you are lacking, right? So I believe in this, that people worry and they don't do certain things because they think this is a massive project, learning English. And yes, it is, but it can be made easier and simpler in this way that we excuse me, we focus on the right things. And as I say, it's kind of difficult to say what exactly the right thing is, because it might differ depending on the person. But there are similar sort of paths that, if not this one, this is the problem usually. The specific goal, the specific situations, the specific phrases that you are using. So this is what we can practice, and we can put them in role plays and work out on this, and then your confidence grows once you're doing it. So
yes,
it won't grow out on its own. You have to do the job. So by practicing the things that you are facing and that they are problematic, I think this is where the progress can be made quickly.
yes, thank you. And this, working with the expert, someone who can help speed up the process, who can help guide you more directly to the
and give
goal.
feedback as well.
Yes, of course. And talking of giving feedback, I want to talk about one-to-one sessions, tying in with the time aspect. Often people will ask me, my students will say, how long does each session need to be? Talking about a one-on-one focus session, because I believe you do those as well as part of your courses. Do you have a set time for those? Do they need to be half an hour, or something else? How do
I
you
usually meet up for an hour. And what I do is I tend to give my materials away. People have a chance to have a look at them and get sort of prepared, because there's a lot of things that people should learn, should know, and then they come to me and we practice the things that are the most urgent ones for a particular set of skills that we're trying to get, right? So I think that works quite nicely, because they've got the chance to pick on, like, I could know all this and I'm good at this, but this is the problematic area, and then we can work on it, and they can ask me questions and I can give them feedback. And I think it works individually that way quite nicely.
Yeah, it really maximizes the value of the time, of that hour that you have together.
Absolutely. I also work with groups. So if there's a group, I like only small groups, so everybody gets the chance to speak as much as they can during that session. So then a similar situation, I give away the material first, and they've got the chance to learn about it, and then we can practice. But the good news is, when you've got individual class, you get all time spent on you and get all the feedback you need. This is great. But in a group session, it's also good, because let's say there are 2 or 3 other people, and you can work with them. So you can learn from whatever is happening, because you can see others doing things. It's also sort of, there's accountability, because you want to look good in front of others as well. And you can talk to them, obviously. But there's another part to it, that basically, when you look at people, how they respond to situations, once, it gives you ideas, and 2, it shows you that, oh, well, I know how to deal with this, so I'm feeling good about myself. So there are so many aspects. I think learning in a group is a good thing, but also individual sessions are. So it depends on what suits you better, and there's a choice.
Right. Yes, and I do feel that they can really complement each other. But some students seem to think that group lessons may be a waste of time. Talking about time, they think, I don't respond well. I don't know if you've ever had this comment from potential clients or from clients.
No, but I do understand if somebody wants to work individually, because they might not necessarily want to follow the same lesson plan, for example. They might want to focus on a few areas that are not necessarily going to be shared by others, or as interesting to others. So I do get that. Or so there's a possibility with to not to waste time, because I don't want to. Or some people also don't like group meetings, I suppose, because there could be a situation when there's a sort of highly like a person on a higher sort of position, and they don't necessarily want to meet up people who are lower in case they knew them or so. And it, like, sometimes people don't want to show that they are learning, although it's a good thing, because if we're learning, that means we want to be better, so that's only a good thing. But also, this is a situation sometimes when people might choose to have an one-on-one session, which is great, but it comes, whether it's a one-on-one or a group session, it comes to the fact that you have to make a decision. Yes, I want to do this, or you have to commit. Have you ever had any issues with commitment? How does this look with your clients?
Commitment once they've joined the group, or getting them to join?
In general, so you can touch on both if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it surprises me when people, the most surprising thing is when people have invested the time, they've bought into it, they know they need it, and then they've invested the money, and then something happens that they fall off. And I want to talk to you about this, how to keep people motivated as well, as much as possible. Yes, keep in touch, have messages with them, build up rapport. I think this is a great way. But sometimes I know things can happen in people's lives, and priorities might not be the most important thing in the world, but usually it is very important for them, and they have committed, at least financially, to this. But then not to, for people to fall off for whatever reason can be surprising. Humans can be strange, and sometimes we don't know. Yeah, but how about you? What do you do? What can we do to help clients, and what advice would you give to people, moving on to a commitment side of things?
Well, with commitment, I think what's important is to know what you want actually and why you want it. Because if you're not sure, you're not going to commit. If you haven't made the decision, you're not going to commit. If you don't sort out your time situation, like if it's not your priority, you're not going to commit. So you need to know what you want basically in life. And that's why I think goal setting is such an important thing. And sometimes I think people set the wrong kind of goals for themselves because they are not motivating enough. So, for example, if you think, recently this was a situation I was discussing with a potential client, and the person said, well, my goal is to be fluent in English. And I thought, obviously, that's not a problem. It's great. But at the same time, is this actually your main goal? But I don't think so, because English is a tool. This is what you need at work to advance your career, to do well, to become confident, communicator, to communicate perfectly during your meetings or whatever you do. If there's an interview, you want to be a good communicator. This is why you need good English, or perfect, excellent English, right? But this is not your goal. Your goal is either your career advancement or because you want to help other people, depending on the job you're doing. This is your goal. You want to probably become better at it, achieve promotions and go higher up. Obviously, that goes with having a bigger salary. And if you have a bigger salary, you would be able to do this, and that. So being fluent in English is not your main goal. And it's probably, that's why it does not happen. You don't get it easily because it's not strong enough as a goal. And because, I believe in this, that you, for example, if you want to achieve something, you need to feel good about it. You need to visualize it. You need to feel that you really want it. So if you know why you want it and how much you can achieve and what you can do to help others, for instance, if you kind of know your passion, your mission, all this, it's going to be so much easier to achieve it. It's going to be so much more enjoyable when you start learning, right? Because you know why you're doing it. And also because you know where you're going exactly, you will know what sort of situations you are going to face. And obviously assessing, okay, it's not the avoiding of the situation, but it's the let's do it. is going to get you there, right? So if you want to, if you know what sort of situations are difficult for you, well, let's focus on them. And this is my role here. I would help out. Like, this is the problematic area. Great. Let's see what possibly could you do to help yourself so this situation never happens again. You're prepared every time. And then because you're prepared, you've worked hard on it, you've practiced, you've rehearsed. When you go, let's say, to a meeting, you're hosting one, well, you know what happens. You've got all the phrases there. So basically now most of the job is done. You just have to communicate your information, your message, and this is it. And then you can be yourself, because if you know what you want to say and you've got the phrases behind you, you've rehearsed them, you should be okay. And even if you forget, it's also easy, because, well, it's not easy, but that's overdoing it, right? But you can work on it, because you can explain it in a different way. You can rephrase it. You can give a definition. You can say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. Let me say it again. Blah blah blah. And you explain what you meant. So there is no need to be scared of it. So see what I mean? The growing of your confidence is a gradual process, and the commitment will help you if you know what you want, if you've got a goal, if you've got your direction, and if you keep doing it consistently. So everything has to move forward and give you good results. So I think it's just in your head how much you want it, and if you make a decision, then it's possible. That's how I see commitment, sort of thing. It's quite a complex issue. Well, it's not an issue. It's quite a complex process, and it requires a few things. But that's what I mean. It just depends what you see and how you focus on things. And I think with commitment, what we've got a problem with quite often as people in general is that we focus on what we don't have instead of focusing on what we do have and expanding and growing on that. So what I mean is, like, people tend to worry, I'm not good at this. Oh, people are better than me. I will not get this promotion because there are 5 other people in line and they've got better English. They've got this, whatever. So they focus on this and they waste their precious time and energy on worrying instead of thinking, no, hold on a minute. I'm good. I've got expertise. I've got knowledge. I've got ways of telling things. If I'm myself, I can do this, and that. I can help, right? I'm good with people. I'm good at teamwork. The only problem is the English. Okay, well, once we know what the problem is, well, let's work on this. We can be better. We just have to point it out to ourselves what the problem is, narrow it down, take the steps, and do it, and hopefully have somebody to help us, because that makes it easier and quicker. So then the commitment is not such a problem anymore, because if we focus on what we don't have, which is the time, or it's a big thing, I don't know how to do it, all the negative aspects, it's not helping us in any way. But when we focus on, I want to achieve this, I am good at this, but I only am missing this part, which is the English part. But when you think about it, people who are listening at the moment, for instance, who are non-native English speakers, but they are medical professionals or they work in clinical research, whichever area, people who are understanding us, for instance, maybe not every single word, but it doesn't matter. They are still understanding. When you think about it, it's amazing. It's a second language, and they are doing their job in this second language. That's great already. And also that means they've spent enough time so far on learning English, so they know how to do it. It's a completely different situation if somebody's a beginner, right? Because then it might turn out, oh, they are not very good at learning languages altogether. But if somebody got to this stage, amazing. So let's build on this. It can happen. It can really be better. Like for myself, for instance, I was scared of talking in English before when I was learning.
And you wouldn't know it now.
You wouldn't know, exactly. I won't shut up, basically, right? So the confidence levels can grow depending on your passion, depending on your level of interest, depending on how much time you want to spend, and if you focus on the right things. So in my view, don't focus when you want to commit. Make your decision, focus on what you can do, not on what you can't, because, well, that doesn't matter. What matters is what you can do to go forward. So then the decision to be committed becomes so much easier because you've got all the motivation. And also, when you are at that point, you can think, okay, let's see what I've done so far. And you can even keep a journal or whatever people do to have basically evidence of their efforts, which is fantastic because you can look, oh wow, I've done so well. This is only whatever amount of time you can look at, and you can see your achievements. I've done so much and I remember this, and now if I go and let's say do meetings, I can host one, it's not a problem. I can transition from one, let's say, subject to another with ease, and I can ask questions, I can interrupt, I can give an opinion, I can talk to my colleagues, I can do anything really, because I've got a mass of phrases that I didn't know before, or I knew them, but maybe I wasn't very good at them. And now I've practiced enough to be confident and to say it. And if I make a mistake, well, the world is not going to collapse. It's going to be fine because I can apologize, say it differently. And if people didn't get it, I will repeat. They will ask a question. It's going to be fine. So there is no need to panic, because I think also people panic a lot and they'd rather stay quiet instead of saying things, because they either worry about their accents, or they worry about making mistakes, or they worry about anything really. There are so many things to worry about, and I know because I was there. So I think it's a mindset shift that we need to make it happen and make it work for us.
Yeah, it can be a fixation on this sort of thing that's wrong, as you say, which can then stop us from relaxing, moving on, because everybody makes mistakes. Native speakers make them.
Absolutely.
But they just don't think about them in the same way. They say, "Oh, my tongue tripped up on something," or "Let me say, I just had a mind fart," or whatever they describe
Absolutely.
it.
And they sometimes say, "Oh, I forgot a word." And you see, a native speaker is not going to panic about it because they forgot a word. Because when a native speaker forgets a word, they just forgot a word. But when a non-native speaker forgets a word in English, it's like, "Oh, I'm not competent enough. I don't know this." But that's not the case. We forget it. In our own languages, we forget it too. And nobody is expecting us to know everything. There is no such thing as like a perfectionism. That's never going to happen. We are always going to make mistakes of some sort, because we cannot be focused constantly and remember everything. So yeah, I think sometimes also a bit of leniency towards ourselves. We cannot be too hard on ourselves, which sometimes happens, because that's not going to work. If you think you have to be perfect, no, accept it. You're not going to be perfect. But you see, I've discovered something. I'll share a sort of revelation that I had once upon a time. The secret to, I used to think being confident is something you're born with, but it's not. You learn it. And the amazing thing that I have discovered is that when you're confident, what happens is you're ready for the situation, whatever the result. So you're going to be okay, whether you did well or you didn't, whether you made a mistake or you didn't, because you can cope with it. So this is when the confidence comes, because you've done your best, you have prepared, you've learned, but you also accept the fact that you don't know everything. And that's okay. You don't have to know everything, but you've tried. That's the important part. And then the part is, yes, exactly. The part is that you will be fine. Because if you do make a mistake, well, you can apologize and you can rephrase it. If you don't remember a word, well, you can explain what you mean. You can give a definition. People will guess. You can ask somebody even, what do you call whatever, and they will very happily, surely give you a hand and tell you whatever the word is, just like you would do in your native language.
Yes,
and
what's the word I'm
nothing will
thinking of?
happen. Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think this is I like the empowering part that we hardly ever do towards ourselves, because it's not about being like, oh, I'm in love with myself, I'm narcissistic or something. No. This is completely something different. This is like when you empower yourself to be able to get better results because you believe in yourself. The believing in ourselves is quite a lot of the times is a problem, because we have our backgrounds and our whatever happens to us, and the experiences might bring us difficulties because we are not coping with certain things. So this is where the empowerment comes to help us, because if we know we're good at something, we need to be able to notice that, though. So that's what I mean. Keeping a journal is quite good, and writing it down is a nice. I've actually I have heard a fabulous, basically, exercise to do, and I'd love to share that if that's okay. It's a
Yeah,
very short
sure.
thing, because we
By all
all
means.
have good days and we have bad days, right? So sometimes we achieve things and we're happy, and it's like, yeah, let's go because we are doing well, right? But there will be a different kind of day when something doesn't work out, when we make mistakes, when the boss has a go at us, when whatever happens, like a ton of emails, too many things to do at once, and we feel not so good, and we feel that that's because we are terrible. Usually it happens. We come to this conclusion. But so the exercise is, when you're having a good day and you have achievements, write a letter or a note or something to yourself, which was going to have quite a lot of your achievements or points that you know you need to hear when you feel bad. Okay. And then when it comes to this bad day, when things are not working out so well, look at this letter and think about it, because it's like, yes, I am good at this. Yes, I am whatever, and just the positive stuff in it. I think it sounds like not much, but I'm pretty sure that it's because you're sincere. When you talk to, let's say, a friend or a colleague at work, and you're saying, "Oh, this didn't work out," and they will tell you, they will sort of show empathy, and they might say something nice, but you might wonder, did they mean it? You don't know. They might not. But now, when you're writing a letter to yourself, you did mean it, right? These things happened. No question about it. So this is sincere, and you can rely on what you're reading to yourself at that particular moment. So I think it's great. I think it works, and I've suggested that to a few people, and hopefully they are doing this, and then it can bring you up a little bit when you're having a lower kind of mood day.
Yeah, that's great. I love that exercise. And it kind of touches on the next question that I want to ask, talking about momentum and making progress. Because I think when we're making progress and we can feel that, we can see that, we start to build momentum, we start to feel better about things. And I think at that point, we feel, I want to say unstoppable, but maybe not that much, but at least we feel that we can keep going and we know we can make progress over time. But sometimes there reaches a stage, I think in a lot of language learners' development, where you kind of reach that plateau. It's hard. You maybe feel that you're not making any progress, or even worse, you may be regressing in your skills and your ability to speak a language, either through some maybe lack of practice, or something's happened and you've had a break, or whatever it is. And at that point, I think that can be a difficult point. People may then come to you or they may come to us, and we may talk to them, but they may think, oh, but I've tried things before and I can't seem to get any better than this. So I wanted to ask you about that specific question. Is there any tips or advice that you can give for people to kind of break through that? Is it more in their head, or is there something else they should be doing? How do you approach that
I think,
particular issue?
well, if people are stuck, there is usually something that keeps them stuck. And it's quite good to, well, it's kind of obvious, but not obvious, not all obvious things are obvious, right? So I think it's a good idea to have a good think. What is it that is not allowing you? So if you are worried to speak, for instance, like it's a good idea to think and maybe discover what is it subconsciously that is stopping you. So maybe thinking about past experiences that and addressing them, because sometimes when we had a bad experience, this is stopping you from going past that, because your thinking is, you're stuck with your thinking in the previous experience in the past, when in fact you are not in the past anymore and you need to move forward. I know it's not a difficult thing, but sometimes having a good sort of like even sometimes a discussion, if somebody is willing to do so, it might shed some light on why this is happening. And then it's a good way of changing your perspective to see all of this in a new light. So yes, there could have been a situation, you got embarrassed, you got somebody said something unpleasant, and now you're stuck in this, that, oh, I can't do this because I always do this. This is a bad situation and it's going to repeat. So we have to, if you want, like basically there is no change if there is no change. You have to change something. Quite often it's the way of thinking that needs to be changed. Because if we change the way we think, we're able to open up to different situations and different opportunities and different actions. And then taking the inspired action, taking the action that is going to take us where we want to be, and facing the fear. Because a lot of the time there's a fear. We are scared they're going to repeat the experience from the past. You might not. So why not try not to do that? Because quite often if we're stuck in worrying about the thing, that this always ends up like that. I get to a level and I can't go any further. And then when it comes to actually speaking up in a meeting or in whatever you have to speak up, I climb up and I can't manage. Well, this is the thing, you have to address the situation and then get preparation done towards whatever you want to do, rehearse it, be prepared, get feedback, all this, and then you're bound to get better. And if you address the fear, not with more fear, but with the explanation and with the understanding of what caused it. Sometimes when we know the reasons and we can see that there's a different perspective as well of, at how we saw it then, how we can see it now, it's not the same quite often. And once we kind of see it, it's easier to move on. And also, if you have done things in the past and they didn't work, well, the obvious choice is to learn what didn't work, learn from it, and not do it again, right? So you're bound to have a better result if you do that. So I think the plateau is maybe because we're not exposing ourselves to enough English or the right level or the right vocabulary or whatever it is, it's not right. So there has to be a change. And I think working with the person is possible then that you think about it, we discuss it, and because I've got a different perspective, I'm a different person, obviously, so sometimes that's quite good enough to see something that you might not see, because you're stuck in your thoughts and if in your habits and in all this. So quite often we can achieve so much more when we find out, okay, let's face the situation. This is what I'm doing. This is great, but this isn't. So if I want to move from here to there, I need to do A, B, C, D, right? And then once you've got a plan, you know what to do, and you do it with sort of manageable steps, small ones, because we can't do like all at once and a lot. So then it becomes that you can be unstuck, and you can move forward and you can get towards your goals. It doesn't mean it's going to be super fast, but I think the time you work with a coach, for instance, is to help you get over the obstacles that you have, and see that even if you can keep working with the person, but if you want to stop, it gives you a great foundation to know what to do next and how to do it. So then you will be on a good path towards your goals because you know what to do and how, and your thinking has improved. Because I think when you think in a certain way, your brain, your like your surroundings, they give you like proof to show that you are right. Okay, so if you think negatively, you will get all the negativity there is to prove yes, you're right. If you focus on I can't do this, this is too difficult, others are better
Yeah.
than me, you will get as much proof
Prove
as you
yourself
want.
right.
Totally. So see what I mean? So then you have to change completely the way you're thinking, because the thinking is a huge thing that we've got and we're not using it properly. So when you know how to think, which is not rocket science, you basically need to be positive, but not for the sake of it, but looking at what I can do with what I have to make it better. Not what I can't do. We know that. Now, what can we do to improve? And then when you work on this, so where the time comes, when the commitment comes, because you do this, you go and ask for help, because you can work on your own things yourself. But the trouble is, it will take longer, and it's like reinventing the wheel. What's the point? When you can have, well, you can do this if you have a lot of time, but considering that we know all the medical professionals always say, oh, I've got so much on, there are so many things I need to do. So clearly you don't have the time. So
Yeah.
it's good to invest in help, in somebody who has been through it, or themselves, or who helped others, and obviously there are results. So
Yeah.
that brings us, I think, to the biggest possibly obstacle is money, I think, because I think quite a lot of the time when you want professional help, it's going to cost a bit more than just whatever general English, right? Because it's focused, it's professional, it's proven, it brings results. Okay, so obviously the price is going to be higher, and this is what people usually have a problem with. I can't afford it, for example, right? Or what if it's not worth it? Or these things.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I also, like, when you're a service provider, when you help, when you coach, when you give lessons, um obviously you charge for that and you are at that end. But I'm also on the receiving end, as in, like, I was buying courses. This is what I'm trying to say. So when you think about it, when I was trying to buy a course, all these thoughts were going through my mind as well. Like, what if the person is no good? They just look nice, on, like, let's say LinkedIn or what, but I don't really know. So this is what I used to think. I don't. Why is it so expensive? What's in it, right? Is it really worth it? So I think the thing to do then, I was thinking, okay, let's have a look at the person. See, you can buy a cheaper product. You can check their recommendations. You can look what they do. You can see if what they say, post, whatever, if that makes sense. So once you like it, it's or you don't like it. If you don't like it, you walk away. If you like it, you can get more interested more in this. You can talk to them. You can make an appointment, sort of thing, and you can have a chat, ask questions, and then you see the person face to face, or like if it's on Zoom, for example, and make your mind up. And there is not going to be ever a guarantee, is that a good choice or not? Well, if we don't take risks, we don't get anywhere, right? So I decided for myself, when I was buying my first big online course, which was super expensive, and I was worried sick, but then I checked and I understood, because also I asked myself a question like this: but what if this is exactly what I need? All the worrying part, that's natural. Okay, that's fine, we all do this. But okay, let's put this aside for a moment. what if this is exactly what I need? And if I'm not doing it, I'm denying myself a chance to grow. I'm denying myself the opportunity, and I'm denying myself, like, if you do a course, you learn a lot, it gives you a chance to not only become better, but with that come all sorts of benefits, right? You get better wage, you can do more, you are respected by others, you are noticed because you can speak, let's say if this is English, right, you can speak better, and it brings opportunities like crazy. So what if I don't take it? What am I doing to myself, right? So this is a big thing. I think you could think about that. And so then it comes to a different question. I was asking myself, okay, can I afford it? And that's always a difficulty, because, like, if it's expensive, then this is a matter of priorities. Then I thought, and I thought, okay, if you think like in a normal household, what happens when I don't know, washing machine breaks down or a car or something? What do? Can you just say, well, I can't afford it? Or do you think of a way how you can
Yes.
get the finance to do it? So that's what I mean. It's a matter of priorities. If this is not a priority for you, then obviously you're not going to do it. But if you can see that once you do, let's say, improve your course, it will bring you the benefits I mentioned earlier. You can get the promotion. I had a client who was complaining about the fact that, she can see how others get promotions because their English is better, and she was left alone, like there somewhere. Yeah, she's good, but we can't communicate perfectly, right? So see what I mean? So if this translates to the person that, yeah, I need this, then it's a question, can I afford it, or can I afford not to go for it?
Yes.
And I think if you see the ROI, I'm going to just, basically, I forgot what it means. Was the return on investment? There you go. We see, I was
Yes.
just
Right.
demonstrating how forgetfulness works. So see,
Well
if
handled.
you see if you see this, return on investment, it's a good thing. Then you are sure, okay, I like it, I'm going for it. And then once you decide, this is a process. You assess, you decide, and then it's a matter of commitment. So if it's important, as I said, if you keep yourself motivated, if you know why you're doing this, if you visualize, and how fabulous would it not be? Would it not be great if you could imagine, like, okay, so my English has improved, I want to get this job, for instance, whatever job it is, and I know I am great at it, but just the English, right? So because I'm improving, I can go for it. And now they will see all I can give them, and how, amazing it could be. Now you can see yourself in that position. You can see yourself what you can do. You can see how satisfied you're going to be. All this, you've got great feeling about it. Now, wouldn't you want to go for the course to do it, to improve your English? I think you have to answer the question yourself. But basically, I think if this is not enough for you to make a decision, then you don't want it that much. So you see what I mean? If you want something a lot, you will go for it, and you will make it happen because you know why, and you want it. And I think that's a secret on how to deal with commitment. I mean, you can't do it if you don't think enough about it. And if it's there, and if you keep wanting it, and if you keep seeing how good it's going to be, well, I think, to me, it's a good motivation. And then if you find the time, because this is the making time that we need to work on. Because obviously, if we don't make time, we don't have time, but we have the same amount of time as everybody else. And some people are successful, and they are successful because once they make a decision, two, they commit, they don't change their minds all the time, they don't worry if it didn't work. That means, like, this particular something didn't work, I've learned from it, this is going to work next time I'm doing this, it's going to be fine. And they are confident that they've got a good path, and the way to success is basically to follow the path and do the things that you need to do. And David, you shared something pretty cool. There was a TED talk by Eric Sorensen, remember, on commitment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I loved, there's a sentence
The author.
he says, and he loved it too. He said it changed his life. And he said, I can't remember the wording exactly, but he said something like this, that imagine that you die and the person you are with what you know and what you've done with your experiences, this person meets the person you could have become, right? Like, let it sink in, right? You as you and the person you could have become with all the, if you put all the effort in, if you invested in yourself, if you committed, if you found the time, all of this, you are fantastic, right? That you could have become that person, but you're here now. Like, think about it. Wouldn't it be annoying to see, like, oh, I could have become that, but I prefer to, scroll on the phone instead of whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this
It's
is a
very
great
powerful.
statement he made there in that TED Talk. It's available obviously on YouTube. It's just, you could just type Eric Sorensen
Yes.
and commitment, and it
And
comes up.
on the TED website, possibly.
Mhm. Yeah, I think in general, YouTube will just come up. So
Yes.
yeah,
But
so
that
I
reminds
think,
me of another very well-known analogy that you may have seen the video with, the rocks and the pebbles and the sand and sometimes water. And it's usually by a physics professor who says, these are the things in your life. And he has a jar and he says, if you want to fill your jar will get filled anyway. But you need to prioritize, put the big rocks in first. And because if you just allow it to be filled with the smaller things, let's say it's scrolling on your phone or it's whatever it is, then that will fill up anyway, and then you won't have any room to put in what's important, whether that's time with your family or investing in a big course which is going to advance your career, whatever it is, whatever it means a lot to you. You need to make that time first, put that in, and then the smaller things will still be able to fit around those. But if you try to do it the other way around,
yes, there will not be enough room. Exactly. So we need to prioritize, and we need to do all the reasonable steps, and we need to do a lot of thinking, but the right kind of thinking, not the negative one. And I would like to say that I prepared a little document, sort of summarizing not summarizing, but like things that are around what we were talking today. And there are some tips and strategies on how to maybe approach this whole aspect of learning English at this stage. Because I think the enormity of the task is a problem for people to commit and to find time, because they think it's huge, which it is. But then if you approach it in the right way, in smaller sort of way, in smaller steps, and also being able to manage it, and also being able to choose the right sort of actions to fill the gaps in your knowledge, right? So so that's what I mean. There's a document that will have quite a lot of information. And I also added some book suggestions that are either on English, learning English for medical areas, or anything about confidence. So there are, I think, 22 positions there with the author and the book title and roughly what it's about. So strategies,
Right.
tips, and books. And I would be happy to share this document with whoever would like to. So in case you are interested, if you want to drop your email in the chat box, we'll be happy to.
So you can message us directly as well.
As well, yes.
Put a link.
Very
and
happy.
actually, I've just noticed that we do have some live questions over from YouTube.
Fantastic.
From Ankit. He says, how can I overcome my fear in speaking with others? I'm an introvert. So if you have a couple of minutes, you can say specifically for this question. He's also said, any exercises or something else to brush up my spoken English?
Okay. Would you like to say something, David, or would you like me to do it?
Yeah, so I can say, first of all, yeah, with introverts and extroverts, I understand that they have different ways of going about the world, and basically it's about how our energy feeds off other people and how we feel with other people. But I would say that when it comes to English learning, you can be equally effective as an introvert. And also, I will let you answer that question, because I know that you've already answered a similar question in the group session we had, and I liked your answer then. And then I
I
also have
remember what I
something.
said then, but I'll try my best. So I think any fear can be addressed by facing it. So what I mean by this is it's not going to happen on its by itself. So what if you need to speak up? Obviously, just going on deep water and jumping in, it's not going to work, especially if you're an introvert. But if you were to know in advance, this is what I will have to do. Well, you can prepare. You can try, and you see there are so many little exercises you can do. For instance, if you're scared of speaking up altogether, you need to look to practice in low stress situations. Where are you not going to be stressed? Probably when you're on your own. So what I suggest is you can talk to basically kind of yourself, to in the mirror or without, or you can record yourself, which is it also a great idea, because you can then check and see what's wrong with whatever you said. You can address the mistakes, or you can see I'm doing, I don't know, some people, make too many pauses, or they speak too fast, or they speak unclearly, or whatever that is, you can address. But please do not forget to notice also any positive things that you do. Because if we just go with huge criticism, that's not going to help. So notice good things, but address the things that didn't work out. So I think these kind of exercises are good. You can read articles, you can rephrase the articles, say them in your own words to yourself. You can obviously hire a coach to help you. That's kind of what we can do. But basically, if you are okay to do it by yourself, and you're worried about the stressful situation that is obviously stopping you from speaking up, do it when the situation is not stressful. Do it just by yourself at first, and then you can get a bit higher and with the level of stress, and invite a colleague to talk about this, or to rehearse. If not, you know what I mean, and then go and practice during a meeting or whatever you're trying to practice for. Or, as I say, hire a coach, which is the easiest probably way, because then you can not only get feedback, but it'll be feedback exactly by a person who knows what they are talking about, because they've seen other clients doing similar things. So the feedback will be helpful, and with tips what to do next. Not just like you're doing this wrong, but also what you can do to improve it. So yeah, so I would suggest that. David, would you add anything else?
Yeah, I like very much what you say about increasing the kind of difficulty, or increasing the level of discomfort with each time. And it reminds me of some really wonderful TED Talks, again, from about introverts, which I often share with my clients as well, and we talk about those. And the lady there was talking about this. Introverts often have really important messages, and she uses the analogy of a suitcase that she's carrying around with them. They have a lot of important ideas and messages, but they may be more reluctant, less inclined to share them with the world. But their voice really matters, because of that reason. That's even more reason for them to practice, to build up their confidence, to work with professionals, so that they are able to deliver that important message that they do have. Because unlike extroverts who love to, shoot their mouth off, so to speak, they love to talk to people. They love to, to be seen, to be heard. Introverts maybe don't thrive in those same environments, but that doesn't mean that their message isn't equally if
I
not
totally
more
agree with
important?
this, because look, the importance of the message is something to focus on here, because I think if you have something to say and it's important and it's worth it, it's kind of a shame not to say it, because you're deprived. You can think that way. Okay, I'm a little bit scared, but if I don't, they don't know this, and they are missing out. I'm depriving them of this important whatever you're going to say, right? And it takes away a little bit of the stress of you, because also when we talk, we kind of focus on how we feel, which is not the thing to do, because it doesn't bring us anything. You need to be, all together, and a lot of little things should be okay to be able to speak. But at the same time, the message is more important than how we feel about our speech, right? So if you focus on this, I've got this to say, and if you practice enough, so the clarity is there, so the message is delivered clearly. Because also the next thing that I think my clients focus on too much sometimes, it's obviously grammar is important and all this kind of stuff. Of course it is, because if we've got bad grammar, we can't really say anything properly, because they might not understand. But if the grammar is good enough, we are able to communicate. And if the message is clear, not complicated, doesn't have too much jargon, doesn't have too many pompous words, like just speak with the words without trying too hard, and then the message will be delivered, because also you're putting your heart and soul into this. So then, people are also, there's another thing I noticed that people sort of worry about, that they will be judged by others. But the thing is this: if they invited you, for example, to a meeting, they understand you've got something sensible to say. So they value you. They are not thinking about your English. They are valuing you as the person with the knowledge of whatever subject this is, right? So this is a good start, right? So when you think about it, they value me. Okay, so it's like I'm higher up already, right? And then if you deliver the message clearly, if a mistake happens, they are not there to judge you. It's not a test. They came to hear what you've got to say. And if it's a good, valuable point you're making, this is what they're going to focus on. They are willing to hear it. If it's perfect or imperfect, it doesn't matter that much. Obviously, we want to make it as good as possible, but and I'm sure you can already, because your level of English is this is the most common thing that happens. People undervalue their own skills. They think they know less than they actually do. But the thing is, they are trying to learn more, new vocabulary, new this, new that, instead of using what they actually have already, which will give them the ease. Instead of, for instance, thinking and remembering the difficult words that you've just learned, which is kind of difficult, right? Instead of doing that, you can focus on the information you've got already, all the grammar, all the vocabulary you've got already. You've rehearsed it many times. So then you don't have to think about it. It comes automatically. And then you focus on the message on its own, instead of the grammar, the intonation, the pronunciation, this and this and this. And it gets, your head is just exploding, and you lose the message sometimes. This is what happens with my clients, for instance. So this is just to narrow it down, make it easy. Don't overcomplicate things, and don't overthink the whole situation. So if you're an introvert, hopefully that answers your question. Do those little exercises and focus on the message. Yeah. And not on your feelings. The feelings are important, obviously, but then focus on the other stuff to make yourself heard.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for the answer, and thank you for your question, Ankit. I hope that's answered it and helped you. Yeah, I think there's been a lot of helpful stuff in there. So I know I'm aware we've kind of gone over time. Time has flown by. It's been great to talk to you, Adriana.
Listen,
is there anything else we need to know? How can we get hold of you and see see your courses or what you have to offer?
If you would like to get hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn, Adriana McNeil, very easy. And then you can find me there. I've got a website as well. It's adrianamcneil.com. But I'm available on LinkedIn. Write a message to me and or just comment on my posts. I love when people go and engage on my posts and connect. I'm happy to get in touch. I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to meet. There's also, I can share a link to in the comments to if you would like to have a chat with me. So it's my Calendly.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm just looking for it very quickly.
Yeah, pop it in, or I think I can pop it into the description afterwards, at least.
Yeah, that's great. So I've just found it. So if you were to, want to chat to me to discuss where your English is or what you can do about it, if we are a good fit, because that's not necessarily a case, right? So I've just popped it in. Hopefully it went through. So this is how you can get hold of me and go for, and I'm also going to find my LinkedIn link, and there you can find me there as well too. Sorry, it's opening very slowly.
Okay.
You can find me basically through this link. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Let's see. So if you pop that, okay, you pop this in. I think that's come as a private message, but I can put it as a comment.
If you could, yes, please, that would be great. So, so there's my LinkedIn link and my Calendly link. If anybody wanted to get in touch and see if I can help you, I'll be happy to. Or if you have any questions, it could be just a chat. So not to worry about the fact that, you have to commit to work with me. No. You can just find out where you are. We can discuss your needs, and we can see if we can think of how to help you to find a path for yourself. And you don't have to work with me, especially if we decide that we are not really a good fit. So not to worry, no obligation.
Yeah, I bet that's good to know. So yeah, I will also put some links in, things that are going on for me. Whether it's the interview preparation or the new More English, which I'm launching for Thai doctors specifically and medical professionals here in Thailand. So yeah, we'll pop all those notes into the documents. Let me just have one last check, see if there's any more. Okay, so that's now gone into the comments on LinkedIn. Yeah, I think that's all for today. I'm sure we could have another session soon. But yeah, thank you for joining me today, Adriana. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
So take care. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great evening and a good day. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.